What's up, YouTube? What's the vibe? It's your boy Zebo 708. I'm back at you with another one, and I'll be reviewing Boss Bottle Infinity. So today I visit my Ross, and they pretty much had the typical fragrances that they normally have, the CK1s, the Issey Miyagi, the Tommy Bahamas, the usuals. What you always, traditionally see at Ross. Ross doesn't really have like a large variety like Burlington. They don't really rotate out fragrances. They pretty much have like, what they carry. So this was something that I saw that kind of like stood out because I have never seen this in, any of the rack stores. So seeing it on the shelf at Burlington, excuse me, not Burlington's, at Ross, kind of shocked me because I had just left Burlington, which had, a large variety of Middle Eastern fragrances. They also had, the CK1s. They also had, just a variety of different fragrances. So coming from Burlington's and going to Ross, it was something, kind of different. But I hadn't been to Ross in a while, so I kind of stuck my head in to see what they had. Now, they did have this Boss Bottle Night, which was 100 ml, and they wanted $49.99 for it. So I actually picked that up first because that was the first one that I saw, and I was kind of intrigued by it, So, upon me leaving, I still was, looking and doing a, searching, moving the fragrances around, trying to see if they, had something that I may have possibly missed. And I actually ran across a 200 ml Boss Bottle Infinity, which is this fragrance. So I'm looking at it like, okay, 100 ml for $49.99, a 200 ml for $59.99. $10 price difference, 100 ml volume difference. So $10 for an additional 100 ml, in my opinion, it was a deal. It was a bargain. So, I put the other one back and opted to grab this one. Thinking about it, I probably should have grabbed both. The only reason why I didn't grab both, they both had the exact same, bottle, box design, coloration, everything. So I was kind of like thinking, okay, maybe, and it's a possibility, both fragrances were, similar in flankers. So I didn't want to get, two of the same scent profiles. So I just opted to get the 200 ml. And I bought this one back. So we're gonna bust this down, put it in air, put it on a testing strip, put it on skin, and I'm gonna give you, my opinion on, what I think about it, how I feel about it. So, 60 bucks, 200 ml, not bad. I've also looked this up. I think at its lowest, it was, like 54, 55 shipping, somewhere around 60 bucks. At its highest, 144, and that was at Macy's. 130 something at Amazon for the 200 ml. So, I'm looking at it like that's a plus for me, because you can always go somewhere and it'll be extremely higher than what you pay for it for at, a Ross or Burlington or TJ Maxx. And then another unique thing about it, you know, after, you know, kind of giving you the prices, this fragrance is 5 years old. So to be 5 years old and still retaining this price point is like, it's saying something about the fragrance, in my opinion. And that's just my perspective on, you know, how I'm looking at it. 5 years and this bad baby is still 145, 144, 130, one anything 5 years later. So this could be the making of Boss Bottles Classic. You know, this could be one of those pieces where, you know, it's already 5 years, you know, and still, you know, holding its own weight. So to me, that says a lot. And, you know, and I kind of do that in the stores before I actually purchase fragrance. I will kind of like quickly scan through and see, you know, what to it before I actually pull the trigger. Like, I don't just grab something and walk right out the store without having some type of idea or some type of, you know, plus, you know, for myself. Sometimes it happens though, when you walk out, you know, you be greatly disappointed, but it's part of the fragrance game. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to take a hit, you know, to smell good. So anyway, we're going to jump into this. I'm going to put this in the air. Cap is pretty decent, sturdy, clamp on, plastic, cheap plastic at that, you know, nothing special. Blue Juice. Blue Juice. Now, I will say this about, you know, this Blue Juice and just looking at it. It kind of reminds me of, you know, laundry soap. I don't know about you, but if you look at this, bro, this look like Tide, you know. It looks like, you know, they didn't pour some Tide in a Boss bottle and put a price tag on it. Looks can be deceiving. Looks can be deceiving. I don't know. But that was my initial impression off of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the air. Right off the bat, I'm getting fresh. I'm getting clean. I'm definitely getting lavender. Right off the bat. This is a freshie. This is a good, clean fragrance, you know. It's not nothing where, you know, it's gonna be offensive. It's gonna, you know, choke you out. It's gonna be, you know, aggressive and forbearing in a sense that, you know, it turns people off. It's clean, it's fresh, it's aromatic. This is one of those fragrances that, you know, it's there, you smell it, it smells good, and it's not offensive, you know. So it's very wearable. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on a testing strip and see if it changes any on the testing strip from in the air. And it is slightly. It is slightly. It's still fresh, aromatic. You still get the lavender. And this is just, to me, this is just a very clean fragrance. Like, it really is. It's not nothing over the top. It's not, you know, a wow type of fragrance. It's not something that's gonna, you know, demand, you know, attention. It's just a fresh, clean fragrance. It smells good. It really does. But it's more so like a, I would kind of say that this is more of a daytime fragrance, a casual wear, you know, gym, you know, shopping, you know, something like that. this to me, in my opinion, you know, I wouldn't wear this on a date. I wouldn't wear it to an evening event. I definitely wouldn't wear this during colder months like winter, fall. It's just not, it's a freshie. It's not gonna stand up to cold climates like that. So I'm gonna put it on skin and see if it changes a bit on skin. Now, off skin, it's still fresh, still aromatic. I want to say light, but not light in the sense of projection. You know, you definitely get the lavender off the top. In fact, on the skin, it's more lavender than, you know, actually in the air or on a testing strip. So the mixture between your skin texture or whatever and, you know, the fragrance, it actually brings the fragrance, the lavender out in the fragrance. It smells good. It smells good. It really does. But the thing about it is that this is, you know, a freshie. If you're looking for a fragrance that just smells clean, smells fresh, you know, it's basic. It's not over the top. In fact, this is something that you could, you know, snatch off your shelf, put on, and go about your day. You won't offend anybody. You won't choke them out. You know, you won't be looked at as the guy that got, you know, the heavy fragrance on. In fact, you more than likely will attract people to you because of how clean and fresh you smell. So, you know, I would assume that with this fragrance on, like what puts me in the mind of this fragrance is old boy from the internet that was you know, the women were clowning him, they was going in, they was getting on him and telling him he wasn't fresh, and he kept saying, I ain't fresh, I ain't fresh. So yeah, this is a fragrance that's saying I'm fresh, you know, I'm fresh. So yeah, Boss Bottled Infinity, fresh fragrance. And if you just trying to be moving around and fresh, this definitely it. So I'm gonna conclude this video, wrap this up. Please like, subscribe, and you know, jump in the comments. Let your boy know how you feel, you know, about this fragrance, what you think, if you got it, if you don't have it, if you're thinking about getting it, you know, if you even got any questions about it, you know, let's talk about it. You know, that's what we're here for. You know, get these fragrances, break these fragrances down, talk about them. You know, it's a lifestyle, so we living around it. I'm out. Peace.